Hi! In this video I will show you how to create new modules in Test Builder. As you may know, a module of Test Builder is just a simplest representation of a TCL command used to control either CoreAce or AC Player. All those modules are listed in the toolbox of Test Builder. But in order to keep it clear and easy to use, only the main modules have been created. So it may happen that the module you need in your script doesn't exist. In this case, you need to create it. This is why we add the possibility to create new modules. This can either be done from scratch or from an existing module. I will show you how to create a module from an existing module. If I go to the toolbox, which is here with all the modules already implemented, I can select one, click on it, and click on Clone Module. When I click on Clone Module, I have access of the module itself. I can see all its properties. So let's see how is divided a module. So the first part of the modules are the input parameters. In the case of set velocity, those are the two devices between which we want to apply the velocity, and of course the velocity itself. The second part of a module are the outputs. In the case of a set module, there is no output because there is nothing we want to return. And finally, the TCL command, which is the body of the module. So let's modify this module to show you how a new module can be created from an existing one. So the user guide defines two TCL commands for the velocity. You can use set velocity, which is here, and also get velocity, which will return the value of the velocity. But this module hasn't been created in Test Builder. Let's create it. So I will go back to set velocity, and now I need to modify this module to get a new module called get velocity. So the name of this module will be get velocity. Now the first thing we need to do is to define what are our inputs. We still need the two devices between which the velocity will be applied, so we keep device A and device B, but we will remove the velocity. The velocity won't be an input anymore because this is the information we want this module to return. So this is not an input anymore, so I will remove it, but it becomes an output. So I just click on output to create a new output, and I will change his name. His default name is output 0, so I will call it velocity, and I will change his TCL name to velocity as well, velocity. And the last thing we need to do is to change the TCL command. So in the user guide of Director 2 you can find all the TCL commands that you can apply. In the case of get velocity, the user guide tells me that the TCL commands looks like ace get link velocity. As we said, velocity is not an input anymore, so we remove it from the inputs, and we will add it as an output. So I can go to output here and select the output I have created. So in this case, velocity. I just click on it, I put a space, and I can now click OK. So now our modules seems to be ready. We have his name, the category in which one I can find it in the toolbox, my input, my output, and my TCL command. I can save it as get velocity. It's an XML file that you can access, and I will save it. Now you can see this modules is here in ace control of the toolbox. So I have now set velocity and get velocity. Let's now try this new module. So if I go to Test Bed Manager, I can see that I have currently a 2x2 link configuration and 0 velocity apply. So I will go back to Test Builder and I will create this test bed. So it's channel measure 1, base station 1, and UE1. Now I can try something easy, so I will set the velocity and get the velocity. But to do so, I first need to start my emulation, and then I will need to stop it. And to change the velocity, I won't set the velocity to a fixed value here. I just like put this velocity to 5, 10 or 20 or whatever I want, but I will use a sweep to make it more dynamic, and I will put the set velocity and the get velocity inside with a wait function to give us more time to see what happened. I will put 2 seconds. So start emulation, I will select my ACE1, sweep, I will put it from 0 to 20 km/h with a 2 km/h step. The velocity will be applied between the base station 1 and the UE1, and velocity I will use this sweep parameter, which is the output of the sweep. And get velocity, I just need to specify the base station and the UE as we created this get velocity function. And finally, I will stop the emulation of the channel return wall. I can now execute this script to see if everything is working properly. So we can see the output logs and see that everything looks fine. So if I go back to testbed manager, I can see that the velocity is changing now, going from 0 to 20. And if I click on the output of get velocity, I can see the value of the velocity for each iteration. So this is how we created this new module called get velocity. You can see that this is pretty easy to do. Now I would like to show you another way to customize your script. To do that, I will use TCL callback module. I will show you an example. This TCL callback is used to write any TCL command you want. In the case of this scenario, I use it to count the number of iterations I use for my plot. The number of time I will check the FTP check function. So I just create with this TCL callback a counter of iteration. So I started set iteration at 0, and I will increment the value with set iteration equal the value of iteration plus 1 and so on. And I also use it to count the number of files that I have downloaded with the FTP function. So in this case, I use it as a counter of iteration. But I can also use it in the same script, but I just change this TCL callback to use it to know when I start my script, how long after the beginning of my script I check it the first time, and the second time, and the third time, and so on. And finally, how long was the total duration of my test. I will now execute this test to show you what it looks like. I execute it, and we'll just wait for the test to be finished. Okay, the test is now done, and as you can see, I can not only know the number of iterations when I get my throughput, but also now, thanks to this TCL callback, I can know that 9 seconds after the beginning of my test, I get this throughput, 25 seconds after the beginning of my test, I got this throughput, and so on. So this is the kind of thing you can do with TCL callback to help you to create more sophisticated script to run on your channel emulator. So I hope this new tutorial was helpful for you. Thank you very much.